let's go to our next topic.
All right, guys, I gotta go though.
All right, take care, Steve.
Take
All
it
right.
easy.
See you guys.
I'm gonna have to reset some of this stuff, but we will go on to Ian
Yeah.
Okay.
with your topic.
Do you want to reset everything or?
I'm just gonna do it while we're going, and it's fine.
Okay. So, this is actually brought to you by kind of like a clay topic as well, but some dating experiences. We're way out of the game. At least I am. I mean, shit, it's been,
Yeah.
I don't know, 7, 8 years, something like that. Feels like
Yeah.
an eternity, but but like, what were some dating experiences that you guys had, and any crazy ones that, you know?
Dating.
I'm kind of, quite honestly, I'm so glad I'm out of that stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't
Same
like
here.
the dating game. You know, it's aggravating sometimes and annoying, and you don't know what you get.
It's all. I don't know. It's all. It feels nowadays. It feels like an immature game.
Right.
You know,
That's
like,
what it
it's
is.
like
Yeah.
so out of that idea. I'm glad too. I'm out of that. I'm so happy where I'm at. It's been 6 years for me, and it's the dating game, man. I think I can't specifically target anything in particular where I was like, oh, that specific date and that was the crazy shit that happened there. But I do remember dating a bunch of crazies,
Yeah,
like
man.
crazies, and there must have been multiple different experiences that I was probably just like, holy shit, like what the hell,
Right.
and not just like one specific like date scenario. But I'm like, that's the cool thing about being out of that dating experience is that like it's just an emotional roller coaster. Like even though you can kind of be like cold sometimes, like say you're a guy and you're just really your dating is just because you want to do some type of sexual fulfillment purpose, and then you got this relationship you're going with this girl, she's got somewhat of a mutual like intent with the relationship too, just kind of
Hooking up.
sexual needs, hooking up, doing her thing. But then there's this emotional roller coasters that you start to get on too. You start to develop because like there's no way to not possibly start to build something.
Yeah.
Even if you're that guy that's trying to be cold, even if you're that woman that's trying to be cold, you still build something. And then usually those people that you're doing that with are not people that are mature, to be honest. Still a lot of immaturity. So then it leads to like tons of drama, which drama can encompass tons of different experiences, but
Yeah, true.
like I'm super thankful that like 6 years out of that whole game that it's not even something that I ever have to be a part of again, because
Yeah.
like that kind of lifestyle is just it's too much stress, to be honest. Like it's way
I
too
agree
much
there.
stress.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's people that enjoy it, they love it, and they get a kick out of it, and that's fine for them. But for who I was and what I was looking for in life, that just wasn't me. For there was a time when it was, it was necessary. It's for me. I always kind of say it was like necessary to go through all the women I didn't want to be with in life
To
to
find.
know the woman that I wanted to be with in life.
Yep.
It's like I had to go hit that thing up and be like, yep, I don't want a woman that's going to be like that or do those kind of decisions. Yep, I don't want a woman that's going to do those kind of decisions. And then my list got narrow and narrow, and then I had a list. And then when I had that list of like what I think it would be that I would like in a woman and how it would work in a relationship,
Can you show
my-
us that list?
my wife finally my wife showed up, and it was like bam, done. Wow, I don't know how. It's like I attracted that when I found out what that was that I wanted, you know what I mean? Like, but I had to go through a bunch of bullshit to get there.
It's interesting.
So there was tons of crazy experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like bunch of crazies to be able to find out what the
What were some of the things that you were looking for? Like what are the like questions that you're asking, the information you were looking for when you were on a date, when it wasn't strictly just I'm looking to
Yeah.
hook up?
I guess my subtle things would, because I will always ask questions and probe in different ways to try to figure out like how a person thinks, because that's really important for me. One of them was like questions that I would ask to try to figure out what their morals and their ethics were. Because
Are
for
you
me
into
that's a big.
threesomes?
Well, I'm saying that's a big deal for me, right? Because I had been in a relationship in a past one where those were like completely, opposite sides of the spectrum, and she would do things that she felt was perfectly okay and normal in a relationship, and for me was absolutely not okay and okay for a relationship whatsoever.
Do you have an example?
Yeah. Okay. So for one was like dancing up on a bar, well,
and you're like,
I
no, my girlfriend's not gonna.
I
be doing
wasn't
that.
there, right? Like I wasn't there. She was doing her own thing. She was up dancing up on a bar, and obviously in a scenario that there was probably tons of guys that were like saying things, shouting things, doing whatever. So for me, it's like, well, I don't like us together. That's not a problem. But like when we're completely different locations, different kinds of bar scenarios, you wouldn't find me up at the top on the top of that bar doing that kind of different thing at that time. So if it
Right.
was like moral decisions, like what she felt was right compared to what I felt was right, like that was very important. It's a lesson I learned in that relationship.
Yeah.
It's just like saying, okay, well, we got to have to really be on the same page here,
Yeah.
because then you can really genuinely build trust, is what I think. Because then hey, I know that person's not going to make those kind of decisions. I know they're not going to do that kind of thing,
Yeah.
because their morals, not because of me, but because they as a person wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? They feel that way. So it's not trying to change somebody, but we're already on the same page with when we at least not making the same decisions, but knowing who we are and why we would make certain decisions. So we know that they would probably choose that certain, choice. The wife I have now would never choose to do that. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I know she wouldn't because of who she is and what she stands for. And same for me. She'd know that I would never go do that. It's not something we would have to question. Where other relationships,
Right.
obviously, people have a different understanding of what's right and what's wrong. And if those don't match with you, you might have a lot of stress, crazy experiences.
Right.
Like,
and,
what the
and,
fuck? Like, that doesn't make
and
sense.
and that's the way to go really about it, is having someone that having those thoughts and everything and those moral decisions. I mean, Taylor, my wife, was how we met and everything. It was just kind of like a fluke, and it was pretty cool. So but those questions that you ask when you first start seeing someone, I definitely wanted to find someone that was pretty cool, wasn't high maintenance or strung. That was my like ultimate goal, is to have someone that I could just sit and hang out with. I don't have to shower them with a bunch of stuff. I don't like materialistic things.
Yeah.
Someone that was just really easygoing. And when I met Taylor, she was, and still is. She still is to this day. I always say that my wife is a lot cooler than me. Like, she grew up racing dirt bikes and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, she's way cooler than I am. and
Nice.
it's just, and that's what I wanted in a girl, is someone that, and I mean, if you look at her, you would never think that, shorter, blonde, and very, to me, very attractive. So I was like, that's the girl of my dreams there. So, and I got to marry her, which is cool. So, and my single life between when I actually broke up with my one girlfriend and then met Taylor was very short lived. Like, it was maybe a month, and I thought, I was like, I'm gonna be single for a long time and all this other shit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this chick is pretty cool. I think I'm gonna pursue this.
Yeah.
So, and which she gives me shit about that sometimes. She's just like, you weren't single that long between periods. And I did. I'll tell her. She knows now. I lied to her.
I'm like, what?
She goes, well, how long ago did you break up with your other girlfriend? I was like, oh, it was like 4 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you didn't want to like probably
Yeah.
make her feel like she was a rebound or something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
There's
I told
interesting
her-
things that you would skew perspective on to soften the it's so insane how different your initial conversation and I don't know, your initial like image of yourself is presented to someone as opposed to knowing them a couple months, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's just as a culture and as a race, like, there's just so much into that first impression that you need it to
It's super significant.
Yeah.
Like it's like our natural instincts also decides whether that person's like you got rapport with them or
Yeah.
not immediately.
It
You know,
totally.
like
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you're not like focusing on that, I feel like, or at least in my case, I was definitely focusing on like my best foot forward when on dates. You just come off. You could just completely ruin a potential relationship or a potential like connection because I don't know. You just had an off day and you said some stuff, or you were like in a pissy mood and you're like, whatever, like. I don't know, and then immediately you're just like, nah, and vice versa. Like that same person, like you can't help it, but you have this first image of them. You're like, this is not
Yeah.
working out. But they might be really cool, and you're just like, nah, fuck it. They said that weird thing about Spider-Man. I don't want to talk to him anymore.
So there's one thing I was listening to the other day about relationships, that was saying that like keeping that putting always your best foot forward when in the beginning of the relationship, because you're trying to build up that huge rapport. If you can keep that going throughout your entire relationship, you know what I mean, then that builds that healthy marriage. Like that one where in the beginning stages, the first month, if she was like, hey, can you go grab the trash? And you're like, fuck yeah, I can grab the trash. I love you. You know, like you're like, go and you go and grab it. And now, you know, you get a little bit deeper and you're like, oh, I don't want to go grab the trash now or whatever. You know, it's like if you can just keep that, I'll do anything for you. Like that stage of I'll do anything for you. If you can keep that always going, like it was saying, then the relationship wise, it'll keep it extremely healthy, because it's like it keeps that perspective in your mind. It keeps that importance of who that person is to you always fresh.
It's really, that's really interesting. Sarah and I did that like super well, like the first like 6-8 months. We describe this as building a very solid foundation, so that when we eventually had like an argument or something, like we had done such a great job of coming at each other with such love and care for those first 8 months. Like, not that we don't do now, but like we were just hyper focused on that for so long that we built such a great like trusting relationship and foundation that like we got to go back to that very frequently. And you make some really good points.
And my biggest thing is that I am 110% truthful. I tell the truth when it's not even necessary. Like, and I don't sugarcoat it either. I'm just like, look, this is how this is what it is. I mean, granted, it's never anything like major, like crazy or anything of that sort. But like when I hear something that pertains to my wife and stuff like that, I'll just tell her, be like, look, I know this isn't easy news, but you know, I have had to break some tough news to her that I found out just between a lot of different things, you know. I don't want to get too specific, but
no, I gotcha.
I just didn't want to sit there and say, you know, hold that from her, because I never want to hold a secret, you know. I don't like, hey, I'm an open book, you know.
Here, so on that topic too, there's that like I feel like that's a really important key for relationships too. So I do that same thing because I feel like it's so important. I do that same thing with my wife too. And it could be like anything. It could be like like so honest, but I'm honest with myself that I'm going to speak out to her because I know that she's not a mind reader. So I'll be like, you know, hey, I'm kind of feeling a little upset right now because I feel like this is also another tangent real quick, but women, people in relationships feel love differently. Like you were saying, Ian, that you don't like somebody that's so like hyper maintenance, needs a lot of showering constantly. So that's how some people feel loved, is through gifts. Some people feel loved through like affectionate touch, sex, call it whatever you want. They actually like, so that's how I feel my love personally. I feel my love whenever it's like she either makes out with me or we have sex. Then I feel really loved. But the way that she feels loved
completely different.
Is if I cuddle her, or if I do like little surprise, not so much gifts, but little surprises that feel like romantic to her. That's the way she feels love. So if I'm not doing that and I'm just delivering the way that I feel love, which is through sex, then she's not feeling love. She's not getting that same thing. You know what I mean?
We call that filling the buckets. Like you need your bucket of happiness to be filled equally between both of you. And where a lot of people don't like recognize that, and they think that just their bucket is the way that is the bucket. Yeah, right?
Totally
That's
the way I feel love. So we all feel love that way. You know, it's like keeping that in mind. That was the tangent about feeling the different ways, but this goes back to my topic of I'm brutally honest with her too, because she's not a mind reader. That I have to sometimes be honest and say, hey, I feel like as of late, you know, we haven't had that much sex or this much sexual activity or this and whatever. And you know, just being that honest, being able to have that discussion allows us to kind of recognize, hey, that hasn't been happening in the relationship, and we need to keep working on that here or there, or whatever it is, you know.
Totally.
But having that, it's super important to have that honesty, because like I was saying, we're not mind readers, and it's not always, we feel love differently, and the other person might not be feeling loved even though you feel like you're giving it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's just not the way that they receive love. So always keeping that honesty, I feel like, no matter what, helps out with that relationship.
That's fascinating. It's not necessarily something you really think about during a dating experience either.
No, but you have to, because like if you're planning on, like my mentality got to the point where before Karina was just like, if I'm not seeing myself being with this person for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
then I'm not going to waste any more time.
Right,
Then there's
right.
no point in me sitting here for 2 months, 1 month, or any of that if I really can't see myself being with this person for the rest of my life. So it was like relationships for me started to get to like 2 weeks. It was like 2 weeks was enough time for me to be able to say, yeah, not for life, no. And there's maybe for a little while, but not for life. Got to go, you know.
Right.
And it had to, because you have to be able to, like the discussions we're all talking about. It takes a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
True.
for sure.
Like, and
What
to
would be
find-
that first question that you would ask someone though?
Animaniacs, yay or nay?
Nay.
What?
It was okay.
Ian,
I
get the hell
mean,
out. Get out.
I guess I can't date you, huh, Clay?
Yeah, no, you cannot. You're incompatible.
First question. I guess it wouldn't be like something that would, like, I don't like first. It would be, there would obviously be like shallow questions that would be asked
Well, yeah.
first before the deep questions get asked.
Like,
But I
what
guess it
would
would
that
be like the
first
deep questions would
question?
be kind of like, what is it you want out of life?
I
You know,
think
like
mine-
it'll give me a better understanding of like what direction do you see yourself going?
Where do you
are
see
we
yourself in
going-
5 years?
Pretty much a question like that like says, do you even have an idea who you are and what you want to do and where you want to be? Because if you don't, like, then you're kind of still maybe moldable or not, like into my own thing. But I prefer you to have your own thing where it would line up together, where like my visions and my goals line up with yours too. Because then obviously we're moving in the same direction to some extent.
Okay.
People that don't have that, I kind of feel like it's like, I don't know. They just felt for me like they weren't taking life a little serious, I guess.
So we have
mine
to wrap up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Final thoughts. Ian, you were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, I guess my first question would be is if they wanted kids or not. You know. some
Oh
people
yeah,
want
that's a
that,
really good
you know?
one. Totally.
question.
Get that out of
Yeah.
the way because I knew I wanted kids. And if
Boom.
it was someone that didn't want kids, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, get out of here. My final thoughts would be I'm grateful for my wife.
Same.
I'm so happy.
Suck ups.
I'm just saying. I'm so happy. About
Yeah. To not be in the dating scene. All right, thanks David Fry for giving us that topic.
you.
We appreciate it. David Fry is a Patreon subscriber and a official Maelstrom gamer.
I think I can't specifically target anything in particular where I was like, oh, that specific date and that was a crazy shit that happened there. But I do remember dating a bunch of crazies, you know,
Yeah,
like
man.
crazies and there must have been multiple different experiences that I was probably just like, holy shit, like what the hell, you know?
Right.
And not just like one specific like date scenario.
Let's go to our next topic.
All right, guys, I gotta go though.
All right, take care, Steve.
Take
All
it
right.
easy.
See you guys.
I'm gonna have to reset some of this stuff, but we will go on to Ian
Yeah.
Okay.
with your topic.
Do you want to reset everything or?
I'm just gonna do it while we're going, and it's fine.
Okay.
So this is actually brought to you by a kind of like a Clay topic as well, but some dating experiences. We're
Oh.
way out of the game. At least I am. I mean, shit, it's been
Yeah.
I don't know, 7, 8 years, something like that. Feels like
Yeah.
an eternity, but but like, what were some dating experiences that you guys had, and any crazy ones that you know?
Dating.
I'm kind of quite honestly, I'm so glad I'm out of that stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't
Same
like
here.
the dating game. You know, it's aggravating sometimes and annoying, and you don't know what
It's
you
just all. It's all. I don't know. It's all. It feels nowadays. It feels like an immature game.
get. Right.
You know,
That's
like,
what it
it's
is.
like
Yeah.
So out of that idea. I'm glad too. I'm out of that. I'm so happy where I'm at. It's been 6 years for me, and it's the dating game, man. But I'm like, that's the cool thing about being out of that dating experience is that like, it's just an emotional roller coaster. Like, even though you can kind of be like cold sometimes. Like, say it's you're a guy and you're just really you're dating is just because you want to do some type of sexual fulfillment purpose, you know, and then you got this relationship you're going with this girl. She's got somewhat of a mutual, like, you know,